During my time at Vermont Comic Con this August, no vendor table has appealed to me more, with the exception to my awesome friends at the Comic Book Cast, than this local game creator's setup. My eye was drawn immediately to an old computer, which was gutted and reused as a display for Fisher Wag's newest title, Breakout. Breakout is a currently in development PC game being crafted by Stupid Massive Unbelievable Games. It's the VIC-30 title Breakout reimagined with great care, intending to remaster a classic out of respect for the original. This game certainly stays true to the traditional formula for arcade veterans, while imaginatively breaking off its path to satisfy expectations in this modern era of gaming. It's a healthy balance of both new and old, and I have to say, though it's still arguably rather early in development, this title in my opinion will go far for several reasons. The first is its clever gameplay mechanics and functionalities, the second for its aesthetic build and atmosphere, and the third for an unconventional but much welcomed reason, an inclination towards storytelling. Breakout as it stands now is not yet finished and in an early access stage, so while there are only 7 levels, it's safe to assume that more are coming. Based on these levels alone and with presumption that the rest will function similarly, I'll be reviewing the first aspect of Breakout's potential appeal, its gameplay. The game, as stated before, is level-based. For simplicity's sake, I'll be discussing the first level, the most basic and effective showcase for the game's function. I'm required, as the player, to move the block cluster at the bottom of the screen using the arrow keys, basically the only controls of this game, to maneuver left and right. The goal is to deflect your ball off of the brick formation in an attempt to make contact with and ultimately destroy the other blocks at the top of the screen. Basically hit this ball and make it destroy everything that's not you. However, there's more to it than that, and unlike the original Breakout, this aforementioned block structure the player controls actually breaks along with the other blocks. So it's not simply a matter of catching the ball before it hits the ground. There's an added pressure of maintaining at least one block to avoid losing the level. In fact, catching the ball doesn't even matter, there's no repercussion since it respawns indefinitely, making the approach a different dynamic entirely. I felt genuinely anxious every time the ball had whittled down my blocks to only a select few, hoping intently that this ricochet will do the trick and let me win the stage. Thankfully though, the game doesn't just take away blocks, as hitting any on the ceiling free of potential collision will fall down freely and are able to be stacked to support your character. I will say that this is a character for the purpose of this video. His name is Breakout Bobby and he is the protagonist. Each collected block is worth 2 hits, and if Breakout Bobby can't be stacked any higher, the collected block will shoot itself upwards and explode upon collision to create a firework type effect, destroying all in its detonation radius. These uniquely cool and interesting set of rules allow for a lot of variety and work to break any feelings of monotony. However, there is one complaint I do have with these guidelines exclusively. On every level I found myself with only one single block floating indefinitely, taking much too long to hit and end the stage. This is fine, as the few final blocks to be broken at the end of every level are always the most challenging, and stress-inducing as mentioned in a good way. But to be present in each level can get rather tiring. I'd like to see a fix to this before the game's official release. My personal suggestion would be the ability to manually sacrifice a block from the player's stack with a specified button press, destroying the sole remaining block, or, if there's more than one, a random block on the field. This would avoid frustration and give even more variety in playstyle, offering a fair trade-off for player gratification. The second factor I will be delving into is its art form. By this I mean the graphical style and music choice. Each individual level is designed with care, ranging in creativity from a gigantic pixel octopus that looks like the game's awesome logo, to a fitting Space Invaders homage. Each level is complete with a funny design-related name as well, adding to the overall charm. As you've all been seeing, the levels are chocked with vibrant sensations of color, with each deflection of the ball causing for a shift in hue. This is both pretty and welcomed to craft a frantic or calming atmosphere depending on the situation. The music only adds to this experience. The main track that plays on each level satisfies my taste and is certainly one I'd listen to outside of the game. My final point I'd like to touch up on though is that the game is clearly not simply a level by level time killer for quick entertainment, and it strives for more by way of text communication. There seems to be an underlying story told gradually in pieces throughout the adventure, waiting to be unearthed and eventually strung together entirely for the player's interpretation. I love that there's more depth to the game than the stages provide, with narrative elements popping up here and there, in addition to a secret level completely different in style to the rest of the game included. This is accessed by canceling the application startup with Ctrl-C, as directed by text on the very screen. This takes the player to a maze navigation stage and requires the locating of 3 check markers and a key. After opening the locked gate with that key, the player is rewarded with dialogue hinting at an overarching theme of melancholy within the narrator. I personally am very excited to see what journey this game will take me on, and I hope more people will be interested in playing. I strongly feel that a solid assortment of gameplay, a gorgeous audio-visual style, and an ulterior motive told in parts make this game very promising. Please believe me when I say I'm not paid to say this, but if you're interested, I encourage you to support this awesome creator by checking out his website, or even buying early access for only $1 to receive all the content I've been discussing today. Thank you all so much for watching me give my thoughts on this upcoming title. I hope you all look forward to next time.